Hi, Greg here with ASUS ROG, and today we're going to get into the holiday spirit and build the ultimate Aura Sync gaming system. Most of the components we're using are Aura Sync ready, meaning that we'll be able to control the RGB LED lighting throughout the entire system using the ASUS Aura Sync software. Now before we get started with the build, I just wanted to say thanks to Cooler Master, Toshiba, G.SKILL, and Intel for sending over this awesome hardware. Let's go ahead and get this stuff unboxed. So we've got all of our components laid out and ready to install. And we're going to install those into this. Now this is the Cooler Master Master Box Pro 5 RGB. Now this comes with 3 120mm RGB LED fans in the front as intake, and also a tempered glass side panel to show off all that RGB goodness. On the inside, there's plenty of room for even the longest GPUs, and it also supports a full range of motherboard sizes from eATX down to Mini ITX. All right, now speaking of motherboards, why don't we go ahead and install our Strix Z370E Gaming. We chose this motherboard because it's a great all-around gaming board with integrated dual-band 802.11 AC Wi-Fi, support for the latest Intel 8th generation CPUs, and of course 3 RGB LED headers. The Strix Z370 will be our command center to control all other RGB components. All right, so the next thing we're going to install is the power supply. And we're using the Cooler Master MasterWatt 750 80+ bronze PSU. It's semi-fanless, so when it's under 15% load, the fan won't spin. It also has a DC to DC circuit design and a 5-year warranty. At this time, we'll also run the cables for the 24-pin motherboard power and the 8-pin CPU power cables. The CPU we're using is an Intel Core i7-8700K. To install, make sure that the notch on the CPU lines up with the notches on the motherboard, and just drop it into place. All right, next we'll go ahead and install the CPU cooler. Now for this, we're using the Master Liquid ML240L RGB liquid CPU cooler from Cooler Master. It uses FEP sleeve tubing and a low vibration dual dissipation pump, which also has an integrated RGB LED. Next we'll add the dual 120mm RGB air balance fans and run the cables to the rear. All right, now it's probably a good time to install our memory, and of course it's also RGB. We're using a 16GB kit of G.SKILL Trident Z RGB memory at 3200 MHz. It features a sleek heatsink design that really shows off the 5 addressable LED zones, which we'll be able to see at the end of the video. All right, so next we'll install our SSDs. Again, special thanks to Toshiba for sending these over. For the boot drive, we've got the Toshiba OCZ RD400 512GB M.2 SSD. We'll mount this on the lower M.2 slot to take advantage of the M.2 heatsink built into the board. Now for storage, we've got 2 OCZ TR150 960GB 2.5-inch SSDs. Now last but certainly not least, we're going to go ahead and install our Strix GTX 1070 Ti Advanced Edition. Now we chose this GPU because it's Aura Sync ready with dual LED lighting zones. On the back here with the ROG logo, and then of course on the front shroud here. And first things first, time for my favorite part. It's also our most powerful GTX 1070 Ti with 8GB of GDDR5 and one-click overclocking using the GPU Tweak 2 utility. All right, we're almost done. The last thing we need to do, cable management. First, we'll need to plug in the front I/O connections to the motherboard, then run all of the fan power and RGB cables, and then finally we'll replace the PSU cover and clean up all of the cables around back. All right, so now it's time to turn it on and see if it works. And there we go, we've got all of the RGB components fully lit up, and they're all being powered directly through the motherboard. I think it looks great. Everything is lit up and very festive, but you know, even with all this RGB in here, we're still not using the addressable RGB LED header. So I think we need more RGB. All right, I think that looks perfect. Now, Aura Sync also works with many of our ROG peripherals, such as mice, keyboards, and even now monitors. So in our next video, we'll go through those components and show you how they work with Aura Sync. We'll also go through a demo of the software and show you how you can control everything together. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.